Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'm going to be going over my experience with streaming on Whatnot for the first time. Now this video is going to be particularly useful for individuals. Let's say that you're interested in trying out Whatnot. Let me go ahead and give you my experience with auctioning my first 6 items with Pokemon cards on Whatnot for the first time. So I'd say with Whatnot, it's actually, the community is really good. Like I had, for the first time on streaming and Whatnot, I had no followers, but people who were joining in, they were very friendly, they were very communicative. The thing with Whatnot is that you do need to build a following to actually build a sustainable income on it. People were saying that for the first few months, you're probably going to take a slight sacrifice in exchange for building a following. But with Whatnot in general, my experience has been, it's daunting and scary at first, but I'd say give it a shot. And you're going to learn through it, okay? Everyone who started on Whatnot didn't start on Whatnot knowing what they had to do perfectly, okay? There were mistakes made, but you're going to learn from those mistakes. And I knew that even before I started my first auction or stream, there was a lot of things that I didn't know where to get the shipping labels. I didn't know how to, like, let's say, someone bought this card here. I didn't know how to notify myself which card people bought. So that was like on demand. I had to write on the marker here is what I eventually found out. I didn't know if people would actually bid or buy these items. Let's say for this card right over here, if no one bids on this card, it's fine. You still get to keep the card. It's not like you're taking a loss. But my first experience with streaming and Whatnot is that I knew it was going to be uncomfortable at first. Second was that it was actually really fun. I streamed for about 45 minutes. It was just like a test run for me to actually just go ahead and try it out without it lingering in my mind, thinking like, oh, how's it actually going to turn out for my first stream? People were really supportive. If you title your first stream like first stream, people are going to go in there and be very supportive and actually say like, hey, good luck. So it was really nice actually seeing real people mention that to me. But also keep in mind that because it's your first stream, you want to make sure that you don't be taken advantage of. So what I mean by that is, let's say that I have these two Mewtwo and Mew cards that I plan on streaming. They might be displayed in the background, right? And people are going to say, hey, run that Mew for $1. Do not run that Mew for $1, okay? If you have cards that are worth well more than $1, you can kind of display them in the back as kind of like display cases to get people enticed. But don't be forced to run anything which you know you're going to run a loss at. Because if this card here, which is worth like $30, if I run it for $1 and there's only one person who wants it, I'm going to lose this card for $1. But the thing with Whatnot though is that you could also go ahead and cancel orders. But I think you need orders to actually get more reviews onto your Whatnot channel. But with that being said, don't be forced to run anything that you don't feel comfortable running. There's multiple ways to sell stuff on Whatnot. I was trying out dollar auctions, but what you could also try out is that if you have this card out on display and you know that this card is $30, you can start the auction at like, let's say $26, okay? So don't be taken advantage of. There's going to be people who hop into your stream and tell you to run things for $1 just because they want it at a really good deal. But it makes for a nice, a kind of humorous debate or kind of conversation. Like if people were telling me to run this Mew for $1 and I was telling them on stream like, hey, I know even though I'm the first time streamer, I know that you're trying to get this for $1, okay? So it was like a nice way to spark conversation and just kind of build a relationship with different viewers on Whatnot. But yeah, I'd say it was daunting at first. It was definitely fun. I definitely will be doing more. I think my angle, and I'm talking about specifically for Pokemon cards, by the way, my angle will probably be streaming, let's say only $1 to $2 cards. Okay, I think that's where I can kind of find a good bet. And then towards the end of the stream, I'll probably have like a few $5 to $10 cards, but I think the majority of my stack that I auction off on Whatnot does need to be like kind of like low end cards just to kind of be familiar with the actual process. Now, after my stream, when it came to shipping, so I have it labeled on Whatnot that buyers already pay for shipping. So all I need to do is print out the shipping labels. With printing the shipping labels, it was kind of difficult for me because I kept printing out on an 8x11 piece of paper. So the label was too big for a plain white envelope. So that's something that I had to figure it out. What I learned was that on Whatnot, you could actually adjust the size of your labels to be 4x6 so that when you print it out on an 8x11 piece of paper, you can just cut out the label and then tape it onto your envelope. That's a bit kind of tedious. So I actually ended up buying a thermal printer just so I wouldn't have to kind of keep cutting out paper and then taping it onto the envelope because that took a lot of time. But I'd say my overall experience, my first time experience streaming and whatnot, has been really fantastic. I probably will be doing it more. I need to build up a social media following so that I can actually push that social media following to my whatnot streams. I think that'll be very helpful. But with that being said, guys, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.